Let's talk about triggers. If you're like me, I don't need to even explain what I'm talking about. You know. Things that set you back. Thoughts or things you see or hear or do that remind you of your ex, remind you of happier times. And it's like dropping an anvil on your shoulders. Suddenly you find yourself spiraling down a rabbit hole of emotions, feeling like you've been set back right where you started from, like you've made no progress at all. I had triggers. Boy, did I have triggers. I had so many triggers for so many months that I don't know if a minute passed without me thinking about my ex. It wasn't just her perfume. If I smelled any perfume on any woman, it reminded me of her. Anytime I passed someone on the sidewalk and got a whiff of perfume, I was thinking about her. When I saw anyone wear her favorite color or had shoes like she owned or even applied their makeup in the same way, down the rabbit hole I'd go. She worked at a bank, so anytime I passed a bank, any bank, even if it wasn't the same one she worked for, I thought of her. Because I often saw her handle money at the bank, anytime I saw cash or credit cards, I thought of her. It was insane, and I knew it. But the thing with triggers is that you can't reason your way out of them. They have an effect on you, and they will have that effect for a time. Not forever, though you probably often feel like they'll be around with you forever. I had no way to fight back against the triggers. There were so many, so often. I remember once being in an elevator with a woman who wore the same perfume as my ex, and the elevator doors could not open fast enough for me to get out. I was at once unable to stop them and frustrated at myself for allowing them to control my mood. But breakups aren't the only time we're faced with triggers. We have natural reactions to the things we see and hear all the time. But with heartache, those triggers are much more powerful. So I decided to fight fire with fire. Here's what I did. I found another trigger, totally unrelated to my ex. So there was a guy I knew in school who was terribly mean to me, and I always associate his name and face with a negative emotion. I found a photo of him and put it on my phone. Anytime I was faced with a strong trigger about my ex, I pulled out his photo and looked at it. Just the sight of his face was enough to trigger a negative but different emotion. In this way, I distracted myself from the initial trigger and also started to associate those triggers from my ex with an altogether different negative emotion. So I encourage you to try that. Find a photo of someone you really don't like. Maybe they're a famous actor or politician, someone that turns your stomach just to see their face. Put that photo in an easy-to-reach place where you can get to it at any time. Use the strong power of a trigger against your ex's triggers. If nothing else, it makes some of those triggers lose their power because you're calling them out for what they are, only reminders of things that have passed. And know that, in time, these will pass as well. Thanks for listening. This podcast is free, but for more, to send me a note or support the series, visit heartbreakpodcast.com. I wish you peace.